Hey there, it's Barb. Welcome back to the Interverse of Business and Life. Today, I want to talk about something that comes up a lot, especially for those of us who want to bring something new into the world, whether it's a new business or a new creative project, or we want to start a new adventure, a move, some big change. We often start with this beautiful, vivid vision of what it will be. We feel inspired, we feel clear, hopeful. We imagine how we'll show up as it comes to be, and especially what it will do for us in return and how it might just change our lives. But then we begin. And this is often where what we imagined does not match the reality. So, for instance, a number of years ago, I had the opportunity to move to Paris for work, and I was super excited, as you can imagine. I mean, it's Paris. And I had all these romantic notions about what that move would be like. I did not speak the language, but I thought, oh, I'll learn, I'll immerse myself, I'll listen to French music, I'll watch French movies. All of this will be a way for me to learn the language. I had ideas about what it would be like sipping my espresso, exchanging conversation with the locals, all of that. And as you're probably guessing, my vision of what was possible and how I was going to show up in the midst of that change and that experience did not match reality. Here's the truth of what happened. Everything was new and different, from how to pay a bill to how to open a bank account to which store to go to for what. I remember walking into a grocery store and I got yelled at for touching the fruit. I didn't know how to order from the butcher and eventually just walked out in shame, defeated, and truthfully exhausted. Those first few months of living in Paris were anything but a movie scene with a great soundtrack in the background. I was exhausted. I would go home at the end of the day, and because I had decided I would only watch French TV, I'd watch Friends in French and just end up turning it off because my mind couldn't take it anymore. So that exhaustion, that change, those moments of being in what felt like way over my head were the truth of what was happening. Now, because I was there for a job, I knew I was going to stay the course. And so, in staying the course, what eventually began to happen was I started to learn the language. I never became fluent, like in my imaginations, but I was able to converse. I had some street smarts. I was able to get around. But more than the language, what that opportunity showed me was how much I can handle, how much all of us can handle, that we actually do really well in the unknown. And it built my trust in myself to be able to adapt, to rise to the occasion. It also opened me up to new cultural insights that I didn't even know I didn't know. It woke me up to architecture and to different points of view. I had to grow up in certain ways. I had to learn to stand my ground in certain conversations. I had to learn to trust myself. All of those things have served me so well in my life. And I met some incredible people, and to this day consider them friends. But none of that matched the original ideas of what my experience would look like. But I'm incredibly grateful for all of it. And that's what I want to talk about today is how we romanticize the beginning of things, or we get attached to what we think it will give us, or we have this idea of how we're going to show up in it. I think exercise is a great example. Like every few years, I get this idea to do something like a triathlon or to swim a mile in the cold sea when I lived in Scotland. And I get excited about it. And then I forget that the day-to-day of it, the actual becoming part, is nothing like that feeling of excitement about being able to do it. Right? The day-to-day of the running or the swimming or showing up in the sea when it's cold and rainy, those days don't feel great. But when we're wanting to create something new, like a new business, a new project, we're wanting to step into a new role, we take a risk and become a beginner again in a new organization, whatever it might be, we often have to meet this imagined version of who we think we're going to be and what we think it's going to offer us and what we're actually experiencing in the day-to-day reality of things. So that piece, knowing that it's going to happen, is really normal. You know, we think we're going to feel confident and free and people will see us in a new light. And then when that doesn't happen right away, we can become discouraged. We can think, did I make the wrong decision? Am I doing it wrong? Am I making a mistake? All of that self-doubt comes in. And again, that's really normal. I'll share another example in my business. I wanted to create a new course. It's something that has a lot of meaning to me. It's something I thought would be really valuable. So I spent a lot of time dreaming up, creating content, getting it all ready. And when I started to share it, it was crickets initially. I'm not exaggerating. And it surprised me because I just felt so good about what was possible for people in this program, and all my years of experience were embedded in it, and I had lots of resources and tools and all of that. And so it was really confusing to me and very disappointing. And I watched my mood plummet and battle, like, what am I to do here? Does this mean it's not any good? Does this mean I should have done something different? Was all of this just a waste of time? But here's the thing. Once I got beyond the noise and my own disappointment about things not being easy or the way I thought, I was able to tune in and drop in and listen more deeply. And I could see there were some things to do, some creative ideas, some things that were important. But one of them was stay the course. I was potentially going to throw in the towel way too soon because I was discouraged, and I didn't see my discouragement as just a temporary state of mind. I saw it as maybe good information. But when I remembered, oh yeah, the more stirred up I am, the more gripped I am, the more my mood tanks, my thinking goes with it. That's true for all of us. So in that moment, I was able, after a bit, right? It wasn't just a moment, it was a few days. In fact, I woke up one day with my neck so stiff, I could hardly move it. So just want to be really clear. I wasn't taking the disappointment well initially. I wasn't taking the disappointment of what I thought was going to be and what was actually happening, right? That's what I was disappointed in. But when I was able to just let that clear and find my bearings again, listen more deeply, I could hear, stay the course, stay the course. And then in that, some really beautiful things occurred to me. And one of them was an opportunity to really appreciate what I was becoming and learning along the way, what doing that content did for me already, regardless of how many people decided to take it or not. That process, that journey was waking me up to some new creativity, some excitement, some potential. It was showing me ways that I could potentially serve. So it wasn't as if nothing was happening, although initially that's what it looked like. In a more settled, connected state, I was able to see, oh, momentum, there's something here. And then in staying the course, sure enough, I found ways to share and people, and ended up being able to offer it. But I don't want to paint the picture that, oh, I just dropped into a good feeling and then I got the results I wanted. No, what happened was I woke up to the bigger picture of what was happening. I woke up to seeing and being with what was real, what was present, what was available to me in real time, what was happening, how I was shifting internally, what was the becoming, the unfolding. And in doing that, I was able to access more resilience, more creativity, more of my own well-being. And so I just want to invite you to start to look at, is there a place, is there tension, is there a place in which wherever you're at right now isn't quite matching the idealized vision that you had of yourself? Are you discouraging yourself because it looks like to the mind that something's off, when really, if we got quiet, if we dropped in, if we trusted the unfolding, what might you see for yourself? I'm also in the middle of a 30-day challenge with a group of people called Express to Expand. And as part of that, everyone's having to meet the idea they had of how they would show up inside the program with what's actually happening. What they thought the program was going to offer or do for them and what it's actually doing. And what we're finding is often when we just get willing to see, to listen, to allow what is offering a really rich experience. It's evolving us. It's showing us, it's waking us up to new skills. It's waking us up to resilience, to more creativity, to more opportunity. You see, when we get closed-minded or single-focused about what we think the outcome needs to be successful or to say, I did okay, we are shortchanging opportunity. We're shortchanging potential. We're shortchanging results even. Because I guarantee there's way more available to us than that one single outcome. And in our grip to think that what actually happened needs to match that original version, romanticized version, if that's your measure of how it's going, you're going to trip up. Every single one of us is going to trip up. See, real progress isn't about appearance. It's about staying rooted in the essence of what's going on in the day-to-day and the listening and the dance of it. And often what I see over and over in myself and with others is we're just too quick to judge. We're too quick to assess how it's going. We haven't given it the time. We haven't given it the air to breathe, to unfold. So again, if you're in a stretch right now where the outer results don't match what you were really hoping for, and you're wondering, is this worth it? Or why is this happening? I'd love for you to hear this, that you're not behind, you're not broken, you're not off track, that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, and that what's evolving in you and evolving in this is an important ingredient to whatever you want to create in your life. Sometimes what needs to happen is we need to learn something first before the next thing can happen. We need to develop our inner resiliency, our ability to bounce back. We need to develop our certainty in ourselves, not results. Progress isn't always external. Sometimes it's the simple, quiet act of staying true. So again, today, I invite you to drop in, find your center, allow the unfolding, allow the becoming. And when what isn't matching that romanticized version, we can drop into and allow for it, you'll discover there's a lot of riches, a lot of wealth right here in the journey forever.
As always, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean a lot to us if you could take a moment to first subscribe and follow wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Hitting the follow button means you'll never miss a show. All you have to do is hit the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner or click on follow. While you're there, if you like what you're hearing, we'd appreciate you taking a moment to give us a shout out and review. Most importantly, however, if you know anyone that would benefit from this episode, please pass it along. And finally, if you'd like to learn more about my work, Innerverse Academy, or upcoming events, you can check out my website at barbarapatterson.com. You'll find some great resources, classes, and videos, and a lot more. Thank you again for being here. See you next time.